Good morning and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for August 18th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps. We're actually trading low. We're down 0.43% this morning. Really kind of low at the low of the sessions. I mean, we got, price actions weakening, and it's not only due to the Middle East tensions, which definitely are weighing on the sentiment, but these rising borrowing costs, which are tied to the wave of debt issuance by tech companies, that's adding another source of pressure, particularly in the chip and tech stocks. When you look at the Middle East, and there was no movement with the U.S.-Iranian peace talks, that 60-day temporary ceasefire agreement expired yesterday, and ever since the rhetoric has been rather hostile, so, that's not positive. But on the calendar today, the key economic data point is the industrial production report that's due out this morning. In corporate news, Costco plans to enter Medicare market with a Costco-branded Medicare Advantage plan. China's Ministry of State Security has instructed some state-linked entities to remove, customized Windows 10 software, Microsoft software, from their machines. Anthropic analyzed revenue run rate has surpassed $65 billion, which underscores the rapid growth of AI ahead of their potential IPO. On the earnings front, Home Depot and Pony AI, they're trading higher following their releases. But we are seeing some weakness in Baidu. We are seeing some weakness in American sports. After the close today, we're going to hear from Keysight Technology, ticker KEYS. We're going to hear from Toll Brothers, TOL, and ZTO Express, Zebra, Tom Oscar, as well as Jack Henry, JKHY. And then tomorrow morning, you got ADI, Analog Devices, you got TJ Maxx, TJX, you got Lowe's, LOW, Target, TGT, Estee Lauder, EL, Kingsoft Cloud, that's ticker KC, and Full Truck Alliance, ticker YMM, all scheduled to release. Now we're taking a look at the global markets, and we're looking at the DAX, which is down 0.3%. We're seeing, some weakness in tech. We're seeing some weakness in industrial stocks, but the FTSE's trading higher by 0.14%. Energy stocks are providing the support here. Mining and metals are declining on some demand concerns, but energy stocks are keeping that market in the green today. And in France, the CAC is lower by 0.44% with weakness in financials. And luxury stocks over there are rather mixed. Turning over and looking at Asia, the Nikkei fell 2.54%, or 1,759 points. It's 2.54%. It's the sharpest decline in several sessions due to the prospect of higher interest rates and growing fiscal concerns surrounding, this new tax cut proposal that the Japanese administration is putting out there. It doesn't have any clear offsetting sources of revenue, and that's why there are some concerns. And you saw that market really took a hit overnight. But in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng finished higher by 0.07%, with tech shares providing some modest support. In China, the Shanghai Composite finished higher by 0.19%. Ministry of Commerce announced measures that aimed at stimulating consumer spending. And you saw gains in financials. You saw gains in energy shares, and that's positive. Looking at oil this morning, and oil prices are higher. You got WTI at $85.31 a barrel. You got Brent at $91.35 a barrel. Prospects of a U.S.-Iranian agreement have weakened. Trump says he's not interested in extending the peace deal. Iran came out with their own version of, harsh rhetoric on how they're preparing for a long-term siege. It's going to go on for a while. We do have the API data coming out today after the bell. That's something to keep an eye out on for. That comes out around 4:30. Okay, let's take a look at some of the earnings action. And let's start off with Home Depot, ticker HD, Henry David. First off, the stock's up 1.81%. They beat by 19 cents, and they did it on higher revenue. Then you look at American Sports, ticker AS. That stock's up 4.02%, which is positive. They beat by 11 cents on higher revenue. After the bell today, you get Keysight Technologies. Their EPS is $2.46. Expected move is 9.05%. You got Toll Brothers. Their EPS is 2.90 with an expected move of 5.67% when they release after the bell today. And on the economic front, you get housing starts and building permits out at 8:30. You also have import-export prices at 8:30. 9:15, you get industrial production. That's the key report for today. And then at 10 a.m., we get pending home sales index coming out. And tomorrow, we get the Fed meeting minutes. In terms of news hitting the tape, Google spending $10 million to buy Spirit Airlines data business. That's interesting. Meta's going to be facing off today with attorneys from several states. That's part of that lawsuit, alleging the company violated child safety and consumer production laws, and essentially addicted kids to Facebook and Instagram. It's going to be a tough one. They're better off settling. Tesla plans to launch its Cybercab robo-taxi service to the public in Austin, Texas this month. Dow Jones 30s, Microsoft Windows removed by China for state-linked entities. NVIDIA, their CEO says OpenAI data center could generate $600 billion in revenue. This is really on JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs because, they're the lead possibilities of getting the IPO for this Caruso, who's a data center developer that's looking to go public, but they're in talks with, those two firms are in talks with them. In terms of guidance news, Clara, they lowered their full year 2026 EPS view to $4.08 billion to $4.16 billion. Street estimate was $4.42 billion. Home Depot, on the other hand, they backed their full year 2026 EPS view to up 4%. And so, the street estimates is 14.96. So, that's okay. That's about right. What else? We got Catalyst calls DT, Dynatrace. Citibank upgrades their price targets and places stock on a 90-day Catalyst watch. Okay, now we're going to be talking about our pick of the day. And, the only one that kind of makes sense, it feels good to me, is Zim Integrated Shipping Services. The fact is earnings are out tomorrow morning. EPS is for a loss of a penny. Expected move is 6.11%. Yesterday's call volume, 16,301 calls versus 2,444 puts. Put call ratio is 0.15. So I really need to get in at a lower price. But the open interest, 137K to 100K, that's all positive. And, the major brokers that do follow it, they are raising price targets. So I like to see that. But in terms of an entry price, I got to say 2870-ish area. I'm hoping to get in at 2870. I think that would be an okay price to get in at, and that's my pick of the day. Zim Integrated Shipping Services, ticker ZIM, Zebra, India, Michael. Okay, let's take a look and let's see if we see any hot stories hitting the press after the last 15 minutes or so. ADP shows private hiring rose in August of 2026. NICE, NICE says Bluecrest using NICE Seek X1 platform. Interesting. Home Depot announces nationwide rollout of express delivery. That's positive. NBIS, Nebius jumps after New Jersey data center granted approval. Stock's up about 3%. Goldman Sachs bought a real estate company, LCN, for $410 million. Trump on Iran, they're not going to make the kind of deal that I think is necessary. Pilgrim Pride, PPC, acquires Walker Deli for $141.5 million British pounds. You got a bunch of retail earnings coming out tomorrow morning. Target, TJ Maxx, ones to watch. Walmart same-store sales growth has kind of leveled off, so we got a cautious annual outlook. Paramount seeking a $1.88 billion bond from state attorney generals over a merger lawsuit. I don't think that'll happen. All right, that's all I'm seeing today. Let's move on and let's talk about our pick of the day from yesterday, which was Clara, ticker KLAR. Listen, the stock opened up at $20.67, and it ran to $20.87. That's about 1%. But then it fell. It just fell down to $19.50 and closed at $19.51. Now, I was in and out of this yesterday. I got in, I made my 1%, I walked away, but, it didn't really beat off of the opening price. So, I'll call it, it's kind of flat, but I did make money on it yesterday. It did kind of make it off the opening price, but I gave a much weaker opening price estimate. But that was the pick from yesterday. But traders, that concludes today's NewsWare's Trade Talk podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green today.